No doubt the Andigonj saw themselves as a civilization living in inward perfection, with every right to isolate themselves from the horrors of a galaxy, of which, we need to remember, they have bordered all three. Yet, they are also at fault for letting them fester. The Andigonj stood in seclusion when the Tri-Alliance fought the Surgok Decimators. They were eventually dealt with, but with a far greater cost than what could have been. The Andigonj did nothing to contain the Bakata Devourers either. They are still viewed as the enablers of the Great Gorging in the Thinnu Mandate. Others fought galactic evils, not the Andigonj. When the Great Khan arose, their neighbors hadn't the strength to help them fight. In this, they are fully complicit. Tsona, Craig's a historian, forward in the Andigonj's perspective. Fanatic xenophobic isolationists, the Andigonj live on their tundra world of Gonj. They explore, exploit, expand, and endure. For a species that wanted nothing to do with the galaxy though sure had. The Horde is massing on our border all the way from Sayama to Ponel. The Great Khan is leading the vanguard. Opposing him are the Void Theorists and the Kepler Salvaged, with one unknown entity on unclear side.
One of our spaceports is under attack.
Void Theorists are moving to a non-shipyard for upgrades. As the dry docks are said to be occupied, Kepler Salvage moved to Nolion shipyard. The enemy keeps receiving more reinforcements. The hordes are massing. A lone destroyer sends SOS signals as it's cut out by the Khan's fleet. As the message reaches us, Kepler Salvage is recalled back to Lessim without starting their upgrades. The Khan swiftly strikes at Lessim. The attack comes faster than anticipated and both fleets are sent to defend. Without the fleet in support, Lessim's weapons platforms are vulnerable to direct fire. As they fall, Lessim Station lacks firepower of its own. Kepler Salvage arrive and stand their ground against the Khan's fleet.
Complete.
The two fleets battle it out over the blue star of Lessim. They are joined by their respective reinforcements. The Khan's reinforcements arrive sooner to swing the balance. With the support vessels of Kepler Salvage down, Void Theorists are alone against two enemy fleets.
Construction complete.
Most of the firepower of the Kepler Salvaged is nurtured, and the station's guns are ineffectual.
One of our stations is under attack.
Vernuni orders his last ship to stand to the very end, but eventually even he has to jump away. The reinforcements are too little, and the Void Theorists have to run too. The Khan succeeds in the second battle of Lessim. Lessim Station falls in time.
We have mastered a new technology.
And the inhabitants of Lessim 3 watch it with dread. The remnants of a battle flee to the capital system. Thanks to our admiral's skill, the Void Theorists managed to return with most of their ships. They are heavily damaged, but most of the fleet is intact. The same cannot be said of Kepler Salvage, who have been nearly lost. The bombardment of Lessim begins. It's by far one of our most significant industrial worlds, and it does have a fortress with a garrison to try and resist the invasion. There are no planetary shields here either though, and the planet is suffering from indiscriminate bombardment. One of our fleets has recovered, but we still lack the combined strength. Void Theorists launch a diversionary strike at Ramos, hoping to relieve some of the pressure from Lessim. The goal is to win some time, not just for the planet, but also for the Kepler's salvage to fully recover. We continue on working on upgrading our weapons. For the first time in history, the Multics invade Xeno territory and not the other way around. They are using this chance to strike at Pheno through a wormhole.
Construction complete.
Voidfarers arrive at Tramos and launch a strike against the station in the system. We continue on with the counterattack, but there's little response from the Horde so far. The Khan resolves to the bombardment as the
Xeno
Marines
station
arrive.
engaged.
Sayama station is
Xeno
also
invaders
destroyed by
are
the
defiling one of
Voidfarers.
our planets.
The invasion of Lessim begins. The defenders are outnumbered and have suffered under the bombardment, but are putting up a spirited resistance. The Khan has left a rearguard for his fleet at Pozuno. The Voidfarers retreat, not having reached their strategic goal of distraction. The fight on Lessim is fierce. The guard, though, is beginning to crumble.
Our planet has been occupied by alien filth.
The news of an occupation reaches us a month later. The defenses of Andigonj are upgraded, and the Serene Protector is adamant that both fleets remain in station in order to defend the capital world. This comes, of course, from both strategic and personal concern. The Uri Imperium uses its chance to split off some territory for itself. The Pheno are weak following the first invasion of the Great Khan. The standoff of the two powers has now nearly lasted a year, and still the fleets are licking wounds of the previous fights.
Hostile Xeno fleet detected.
At least they are close by to receive upgrades for their reactors. AI research
Hostile
is
Xeno
further
fleet
pursued.
detected.
Lessim has suffered under the bombardment. Some of its production centers have been completely destroyed, and the Gonj are persecuted. Our admirals have to watch at a distance, and the Andigonj live under the threat. The territory fallen under the counterattack is being reclaimed. Meanwhile, we are doing our best expanding naval capacity. It is crucial to field a larger force in order to dislodge Kesem from Lessim system. After a close call at Lessim, we are centralizing the command of our marines.
Our ships have been upgraded.
The clone marines are ordered away from Oslip. They are to await further orders on Gonj. A
Hostile
second
Xeno
battleship
fleet
for
detected.
Voidfarers is being built on Nolion shipyard. It will give us the required punch to strike back at Lessim and retake the system.
Construction
The fleets
complete.
are also undergoing upgrades in preparation for the upcoming attack. There's an enemy attack on Korgas. The station falls, but the enemy fleet is intercepted. Meanwhile, wartime production measures are reintroduced. We succeed in pushing back the enemy in Korgas. For the time being, this avenue of attack remains secure. The loss of Lessim hurt our production. Mineral processing plants are being upgraded on all mining worlds to increase our yields. Since we're now mining less, we're trying to mine more efficiently. Our new mining colony is also trying to offset the costs. Our battleship emerges out of a dry dock just as our observation posts notice that one of the fleets has left the Lessim system. The Khan is temporarily alone. The Admiralty has to decide whether we should wait or seize the opportunity. The decision is made to attack at once.
Construction complete.
The combined fleet arrives at Lessim. The Kesem have already fortified their position. They've constructed a space station in those 2 years. The Great Khan charges the fleet. The third battle of Lesson begins. The missiles hit the supporting vessels. The raiders are going down in waves. As the Khan loses his escort, the torpedo corvettes drive for the station.
Complete.
The amoebas and the battleships fire at the Khan's ship's hull.
New technology. Construction complete.
The station goes down to the concentrated torpedo fire. And the battleship goes against heavy barrage. Just like that, in one swoop strike, the Khan lies dead and defeated. A power struggle erupts within the Horde, with Chasm warlords fighting each other over control. The Khan, confident in his victory, led his marines too far forward. Without his armada to protect them, they are an easy prey. In space, it's another story with the Chasm fleet appearing over Lesson 3. Aware of our positioning, one of the warlords launches a surprise attack against Ionites Prime. The combined fleet is quickly set to intercept. A small task force is assigned to protect our transports heading for Lesson. Assigned to it is the cautious acting Admiral Forfey. Ionites is suffering in the surprise attack. The clone marines are coming in to liberate Lesson 3. It was a mistake to disregard our armies. The Gonj are now catching up in learning combat
Construction complete. Our planet has been occupied by
We receive news that Ionites has abruptly fallen. After most of the war defending Ionites, to lose it after the Great Khan has already died stings inexplicably.
Xeno lair.
The liberation of Lesson 3 begins. It hasn't been long since the planet's occupation, and the Chasm put up a token resistance.
Hostile Xeno fleet engaged.
The defending fleet is destroyed, leaving our marines on the surface vulnerable with invasion still in progress. They are now vulnerable to bombardment from space. Lesson 3 is liberated but remains in danger. All marine transports are set to land to evade the enemy fleet. The planet has fallen in dire times, with most of the infrastructure destroyed.
Hostile Xeno fleet detected.
With Ionites fallen, the combined fleet is recalled to defend space over Lesson. We receive news of the Horde splintering into factions. The two successor states are in bitter opposition towards each other. The Chasm successor Khanate forms out of ours and Xavir's territory. While the war is at end, two of our planets, Dim Prime and Ionites Prime, remain under occupation. The Xavir hegemony also gains independence, entering into various non-aggression pacts. The second successor state formed on the other side of the wormhole, through which the Khan has once led his troops to carve out a small nation there. The successor Khanate is still laying claims on territory that we fought over. Korgas, Heka, in total, 6 systems will be claimed by the Khanate. The war ends, but we have paid a huge toll in defending ourselves. Countess of Gonj are slaves in enemy territory. Ionites has been occupied, and Dim has suffered devastation to boot. The peace will rebuild the infrastructure, but the Andigonj psyche will remain forever scarred. They will continue to live in fear and resentment of the other, this understanding forever ingrained to them by history. Due to sheer chance in geography, without ever likely meaning to, the Andigonj have defended the galaxy from the Chasm hordes of the Great Khan. After the war, Forever scarred by the conflict, they turned into an even heavier state of seclusion. This conflict has further cemented their isolationist view. It is fitting then that the fortune of a galaxy was turned around by those who never cared for its fate. We ought to remember their sacrifice. Tetsona, Craig's a historian, epilogue in the Andigonj perspective. This is the story of the Andigonj people, their triumphs and their pains. A story of how a xenophobic species that wanted nothing to do with the galaxy ended up being the ones to save it. Thanks for watching. Hey, Midnight here, and I thought I should explain myself. Basically, I've ran into a bug where I wasn't given any claims to the territory that I've lost to the Khanate. This is particularly problematic because, as both a pacifist and an inward perfectionist, I have really no way of declaring war on them and claiming those territories back. It's not that the game state is broken, it's just extremely out of roleplay to continue in the one way that I can. I'll talk about this in more detail in my monthly review, but for now, the series are definitely on hold. It may not be the end of them entirely, and maybe we can come back to it someday, but it's definitely the end of this chapter. Which is too bad, because I was really getting attached to the characters, especially the two admirals. There are a lot of things I like about this run, like the Xenophile Fallen Empire, the Gonjon Lesson having lived in occupation, not to mention Dim Prime, for who no one ever came. So it really hurts to end those series abruptly. But I feel it's better to end them at this logical closure point, rather than continuing in the vein that I've never meant to, and especially due to a gameplay bug. I'd like to thank everyone for watching, even if it was just a couple of minutes, really from the bottom of my heart. So thanks for watching. I hope we'll tell more great stories in the future, and I hope you are mildly entertained.